Tonight, I'm gonna have myself a real good time. I feel alive, and the world, I'll turn it inside out. I'm floating around in ecstasy, so don't stop me now. Don't stop me, 'cause I'm having a good time. I'm a shooting star leaping through the sky like a tiger, defying the laws of gravity. I'm a racing car passing by like a Lady Godiva. I'm gonna go, go, go. There's no stopping me. I'm burning through the sky. 200 degrees, that's why they call me Mr. Fahrenheit. I'm traveling at the speed of light. I wanna make a supersonic man out of you. Don't stop me now. I'm having such a good time. I'm having a ball. Don't stop me now. If you wanna have a good time, just give me a call. Stop me now. I'm having a good time.
Welcome to the Virtual Stab Comedy Theater. It's time for the Suzette Veneti Show. Please welcome to your screen, Suzette Veneti.
Hey everybody, it's Sunday, June 13th, 5:03 p.m. That means it's time for the Suzette Veneti Show. Welcome to the Suzette Veneti Show, the only show hosted by me, which makes it special because somewhere someone out there believes that I am special. I just haven't met them yet, and probably never will, because we all have to believe in a fairy tale. Anyhow, let's get to the show. We have a great show ahead of us, and I didn't have much news in my news feed this week. It was all about Loki, which is a story about, it's on Disney Plus, and it's the character from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and he does something he shouldn't have, and he's breaking time, and so they have to go back and correct time, and that just proves it's fictional, because if that happened in the real world, Trump wouldn't have been president, COVID wouldn't have happened. But at least we got this show out of it. So, yay! Carola Tiago Freitas, 25 of Elk Grove, was arrested outside of Sacramento a week and a half ago for breaking into a home in Meadow Vista at 11 p.m. The homeowner heard the water running in his bathroom and was watching TV with his wife. And so he got up and he was like, "Why is there water running? We're both out here watching TV." And he checked the bathroom, and Tiago Freitas was in the shower. The 25-year-old home invader broke into the house in Meadow Vista and went into the house to shower. You should not break into homes, but we have been saying that COVID happened because people weren't clean enough. So I say let's let this guy off the hook. He was just trying to get clean. That's all. Maybe he had a date. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Like I said, that's all I really had in my news feed. I was looking for news. I know Disney World is allowing people to go maskless, and there's no more social distancing cues unless you're on the rail transit. But other than that, my news feed is full of Loki, Black Widow, Spider-Man, Lego. See, I don't know how to get the news when I search for things about Loki, but he's Loki. Anyway, we're just going to get to the show. So we're going to go right up with my first contributor. One of my favorite people, one of my favorite follows. He is steaming up a pot of tea and a kettle of tea, and it's whistling. Let's welcome to the show, Clifton Ellison.
Hey, Suzette, how you doing?
I'm all right. How are you, baby?
Well, you know, I'm blessed and highly favored. I was invited to Sunday Funny today, but I decided to take the day to just relax, moisturize, and catch up on my shows. And you know, I watched. Have you heard of Love, Victor?
I have heard of Love, Victor.
So it's like the television series sequel to the movie called Love, Simon, and it's about a boy. He's coming out the closet. He's Latino, and you know, going through the changes and emotions, and then with his family going. And I was just a boohoo and mess, just boohoo, boohoo, boohoo. And then between that and In the Heights, I watched it twice. I saw it in the theaters yesterday, and then I saw it again today at home, and I was just a mess, just boohoo, boohoo. But it was just such good quality content of television and film. It was just like, I just needed that shot of just life in my veins. So that was the good stuff. For now, are you ready for the foolery? Are you ready for the mess?
I'm ready. Tell me.
Okay, so you know, let's take a hit of your cocktail or pour one out for the homies, because you know, after 14 years, has it been 14, 2007? Yeah, about 14 years. The Kardashians are done with E! Television.
Yay.
You know, people always get all angry about them and stuff like that. My whole thing is, no one held a gun to your head and told you to watch the show. I mean, like, It's only on television if I am bored or if I'm at somebody's house or in a waiting room somewhere, something like that. But like, they didn't really bother me that much. I would say the things that they did that did kind of bother me was, of course, Caitlyn, she can choke. And then the whole cultural appropriation and all that stuff though. But besides that, it's kind of just like, they're there, but if you don't really pay attention to them, then it's kind of just like a non-factor in a sense. But hey, 14 years off of profiting off of a quote unquote leak, I gotta give it to you. You extended your 15 minutes and made it into 2 hours. So hey, work. You made a whole empire. I can't be mad at a bitch that makes money. So work. So I am excited that dancing is finally coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Because of COVID protocols, we have not been able to dance in Sacramento. So for playing music, I've gotten back to DJ in the Badlands in the last 2 months, and playing music for a crowd that can't really dance is kind of like one side of the coin is kind of like, yeah, I'm happy to play music, but the other side of the coin is just like, I want y'all to dance. I want y'all to feel it. I want y'all to find your zhush and hump your man and twerk and, look a fool and I can laugh at you. I just miss all that. So I'm excited because I'm tired of telling you to stop dancing, down the way. But I am excited. So that is something I'm really looking forward to doing. Like last night was the last night I had to go to my room and say, hey sis, stop dancing. But no more of that, thank God. I saw clips of the drag brunch today. You look phenomenal. I saw you did a number with Helen.
2 numbers with Helen.
I saw. Were you the evil twin?
I was the evil twin.
I figured.
I mean, one of us has to be fun and party. The other one is responsible. And that's Helen.
Yeah. It looked good. The show looked good. And, Taryn told me that the brunch is going to continue because I thought brunch was just a COVID thing, but she said, no, it's going to continue. So I was like, work. I'm happy for you guys.
No, I mean, we actually talked about it today because our guest, Era, said, how long have you been doing it? And we said, we've been doing it about 2.5 years. I mean, if you count just from when we started, obviously we took...
At the punchline?
Yeah, we took about 6 months off during COVID. 5, actually, just 4. 4 months off during COVID.
Say, no, y'all have been going strong even with COVID and everything else. So, hats off to you guys for keeping the girls entertained and keeping us sane in these non-entertaining times. So, I gotta...
Absolutely. And somebody yesterday said, how's business? And I was like, business has been great, no complaints. And they said, well, I'm sorry, I'm glad that COVID didn't affect your industry. And I said, oh, no. It greatly affected my industry. It decimated my industry. Live entertainment was shut down completely. But I have no complaints because somehow, some way, we just kept going.
And that, honestly, that's really all we can do with all this. We can sit in the corner and cry, or we can just dust ourselves off and figure out, okay, how are we going to move forward? How are we going to do this in a way that fits all the criteria that we have to fit into in this new world? But I'm just so happy shit's opening back up, girl.
It's an old new world.
So now to the mess. So have you been keeping up with Real Housewives at all?
A little bit.
A little bit? Okay. So, Andy Cohen and Bravo, they call themselves trying to diversify the all-white casts. So they threw girls of color in both New York and in Beverly Hills. So in New York, they threw in Ebony Williams, who was a correspondent on NBC and Fox, and she also has her own podcast, and she's a lawyer. She's a good, smart woman, and she is everything. Beautiful, phenomenal beauty queen. I love her. So, Real Houses in New York, I never really watched it because, like I said, they never had any people of color. And honestly, I'm like, how are you in New York and you ain't got no black people, no Dominicans, no Puerto Ricans, no Asians? Nothing like that. Like, really, Andy? Really, Andy? So when they finally throw a black girl in the mix, I was literally sitting here waiting. I was like, okay, when is the mess gonna happen? Because you know, these old white girls gonna show their ass. And of course they did. So they got into an argument about talking about sex. So one of the white girls, her name is Leah, and she got into a discussion. She was talking about like penis size and stuff like that. And one of the other housewives, her name is Ramona Singer, she was not having it. She was just like, oh, we don't talk like that, da 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 da. And then Countess Luann, who she thinks she's a singer, but she's really just, you know, she gives the RuPaul Drag Race girls, she makes them look like Grammy-winning artists, if you can catch my drift in the way how she sings.
I do.
So, if you can see Chelsea's face right now, it is everything. But did I lie?
And we're not talking about Jinx Monsoon, who can actually sing.
No, we're talking about the ones who talk over a beat with some auto-tune, baby. But so the Countess was like, educated women don't talk like that. And so then Ebony was like, well, no shade, I have the most degrees out of everybody at this table, so I can talk like that. And of course the Countess was like, why are you getting so angry? And da-da-da-da. Mind you, 2 seconds before she said that, the white girl, Leah, who brought up the sex conversation, stormed out, screamed, called them all whores and everything like that. Crickets, they just paid her dust. But then when Ebony refutes to Luann's comment, then Luann flips and tries to make it the angry black woman card, and Ebony was like, you're not gonna do me like that, sis. And it was just one of those moments of like, okay, why is it okay for non-people of color to express their frustrations, get angry, get loud, and like that, and it's just the norm. But if a black person or a person of color is simply defending themselves and simply maybe talking, matching your tone, then we have a problem. So it was just one of those things where it's just like, it was like, y'all telling on yourselves. Well, like, you know, that.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I just had a question.
You know how when people will say that, like, oh, I don't see color, I don't see this, but then their actions show a different side. And it was just one of those things where it's kind of just like, I was looking at Andy Cohen in the sense of like, okay, these shows have been on the air for over 10, 12, 14 years. You finally add one person of color to the all-white cast, and then these discussions happen, and it's just like, it was kind of awkward to watch as a viewer. One side of the coin is awkward to watch, but the other side of the coin, it was just like, this is reality. This is real. But then I'm a big Bravo fanatic. So I was going through like the Bravo chat room, stuff like that. And I was seeing a lot of like the fans that are like, what is everything gotta be about race? And I'm just like, girl, this is our reality. You want reality television? It's called The Real. Like how you can see up here, The Real, right there. The Real Housewives, and it's real shit. So, you know, it was just one of those moments I was looking at that cast like, And then we go to Beverly Hills. They added an Asian woman to the cast. Her name is Crystal, and she is married to one of the animators who did The Lion King, and he also does a lot of the Disney productions. And so basically they got coin. And another one of the housewives, her name is Sutton, they got into like this weird argument because they were talking about race, and then Sutton said the famous line of, I don't see color, which I'm going to use that line to parlay into our next topic, because you know I'm about to read a bitch in a minute. But when white people say I don't see color, I'm just like,
if you don't see color, then you're telling me that you only see color, you know? It's like I had a conversation with someone the other day, and I said, you know, people that are good people don't have to say they're good people. They just are good people. You know?
That part.
And
their
so,
actions will speak it for
right.
them.
If you're out here saying, oh, I don't see color, that means you absolutely do, because you don't see the injustices happening, you know? That's your way of saying, like, I like all races, but, like, you know who doesn't say I like all races? People who actually do. And just a point of order, you said non-people of color earlier. That would be just white people, right?
Yeah, but you know, I think that's just the HR worker in me. I just
Oh no, that's fine. I'll say it.
I don't know how to cut it off because it was funny because even like in a conversation with my friends one day, I found myself censoring myself, and I was like, wait, and I was like, bitch, you work too much.
Oh no, that's okay. You can censor. I'll say I'll say white people all day.
Yeah. But you know, she just how angry she got at that. It was very kind of like, sis, you're telling on yourself. You're telling on yourself, you know. And to segue into the I don't see color thing. Now,
Yes.
Tadra Call, sis, ma'am, Miss Thing, Miss Girl, sweetheart. Now, I'm going to give you your flowers. I'm going to give you your flowers because you do the damn thing on stage. You're sickening. You give us good visuals. You give us choreography. You give us songs, things like that, though. But in the words of Iyanla Vanzant, I'm going to call a thing a thing. Now, Miss Girl, she released a new album last week called Feminine. And she has kind of rubbed me wrong ever since the whole accusations of not paying the dancers, being colorist, not hiring Black dancers, inappropriately touching coworkers. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. And so, you know, the gays, they live for him. We had him out here for Rainbow Festival a couple of years ago, and everybody was like, ooh, and I was just kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
You know, but
we did.
What was that?
I mean, no, I happened to be in the green room, so.
Oh, ooh, so you got some tea?
Well, here's the thing. I don't have anything negative to say about Tadra Call from the green room, but everyone in the green room, and I was just there helping out. I wasn't performing, and so I'm not spilling any unnecessary tea here. But everyone was super lovely, super friendly, because it was my job just to make sure people had what they needed. And not everybody wants to be your friend, and some people want to be your friend. They want to know what's going on. And I certainly am nobody to all these big names, and so I was not trying to be anybody's friend unless they asked me a question. Otherwise, it was just like, can I get you a water? Can I get you anything else? You know? And everyone was very nice, except for Tadra Call, who seemed very bothered by my literal presence. And we joke about the show about, you know, people being bothered by my literal presence. So maybe he was just in on the joke. But also it was just like, hey, I'm not trying to bother you. I'm just trying to simply make sure you got what you need.
You're doing your job.
Yeah, and you know, if you don't want something, just no, I'm good. You know? Yeah. Like I'm not trying to get an autograph. I'm not trying to be your friend. I'm not trying to make conversation. Just hey, do you need something? No? Okay, cool. I'm gonna go in that dark corner and mind my own business on my phone. But that's all.
So he released the album this week called Feminine, and oh, sweet Jesus. So he got on Twitter and he got to going on little rants, and basically, I'm gonna quote this. This is his tweet that was posted yesterday. He said, and I quote, "Slavery worked. They hope we'd still be here today fighting and trying to take down our own. We can prove them wrong, uplift our own."
This is to sell albums?
Make it make sense. How the hell does slavery work, sis? How? Sweat? I don't understand. There are so many ways to say we should uplift each other. But saying slavery worked, knowing your background and knowing how, no shade, and you know what, whatever, I'm gonna say it, knowing how coonish you are, and you're gonna say slavery worked, you might as well go on stage with fucking Christian Walker, bitch. Like, slavery worked, really? And so then, you know, I don't really check for him. You know, people will request his songs and I'm working, and I play them begrudgingly, but I play them. But I saw a clip of one of his songs and I posted it on the thread that you were in that I tagged you in. And he basically said he was doing a duet with another. I'm sorry, I didn't even check to see who this other artist was. I didn't care. But the other it was a cis white gay male artist, and he was holding him. They're like embracing each other, and they had like all the little flares going off, like looking like they did the color run. It was like very kind of like Welcome to Pride Land video. But why you got this white boy in the video saying, "I don't see color," and y'all harmonizing, singing, "I don't see color," and then you sitting here on Twitter talking about slavery worked.
It's like when the senator said that there were positives and negatives to slavery, and really quickly, I'm trying to look up who the senator was that said there were no positives, because that just happened. Like it just.
I just don't understand, and it's like yes, you are a gay black man doing it in the music industry. Independently, by the way, because I don't think he's not signed to a major label. He's doing all this independently, so I take my hat off to him for that. But bitch, the shit you say, the colorist shit that you do, because he even said like a couple of like slick kind of like, "I don't do black men." And then if you watch his music videos, you don't really see that many black people in his videos. And you can kind of tell he's kind of like surrounded by a bunch of yes people. Because honestly, if you had some real ones around you, they would tell you, "Bitch, that ain't it. Take that down." That tweet is still on Twitter right now. You can go look at it. Because when I saw a screenshot, I was like, "I know you lying," and I logged on Twitter. It was there. And so then a comedian and an actress, her name is Francesca Ramsey. She basically had a good rebuttal about it, and she said, "Hey, I'm coming to you directly," because a lot of people will come to you indirectly on TikToks or subtweets, things like that. She said, you started your career out basically on negative stereotypes of black women, and if you look back on his career with like the Cinderfella and the Trap Keisha and all like the kind of hood Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast.
It's kind of like you were pandering to the white gays, but at the expense of black women. And then you turn around and then you say some shit like this, and then of course all the things that came up last year with the dancers and the accusations and everything like that. It's just not looking good for you. And when I saw this, I was like, I'm not even gonna give you a click, a spin, a penny off of Spotify. Like he's done in my book. Like, and a lot of the gays, they still go up for him, they still cheer for him, and I'm just like, you're giving me I'm gonna be anti-black so I can fit in with the white gays because I see the white gays is up here and I want to be up here, but I'm forgetting where I came from tease. That's what he's giving me. And you keep doing that shit, and eventually you're gonna do something that's gonna piss them off, and they're gonna turn their backs on you, and then just like Stacey Dash, you're gonna come running on back to us trying to get us to cheer you on. It's just gonna be like, "Girl, no, we're done."
Yeah, I don't think anyone's taking Stacey Dash back.
Ugh. Girl, don't get me started on her, and don't get me started on Christian Walker either. That's the little light-skinned black boy that loves Donald Trump and says all that crazy shit on TikTok. Well, they're kind of all in the same boat in my head, but
and may it get lost like the boat from the SS Minnow. I remember the name of it.
It's really tragic. It's really I wouldn't even subject you to Christian Walker because I love you, Suzette. And I don't want to like throw like negative juju your way, but like he's scum. He's like the bottom of a shoe that has walked through Tough Mudder and Folsom Street Fair with all the piss and the cum and the shit and the floor and everything like that. Like, he is trash. And I said what I said, so, you know, whatever. But, yeah, that was the tea that I had for you today.
Okay, well, make it back to brunch soon.
I will. You know, honestly, because technically Sundays are like my only day to myself because I work Monday through Friday, and then I DJ at Badlands on Saturday. So like, even though I'm off my regular job, it's still kind of like I can't get to
self-care Sunday.
Out of work. Yeah.
You take what you need. We'll be there when you're ready.
But I do have a couple weekends off from DJing coming up soon. So I'll be there. Okay.
I will too.
Of course you will. The show won't be there without you.
Oh, thank you. That's very nice.
Well, I love you, Suzette. Thank you so much for having me.
I love you too, Clifton. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, peers and queers, that was Clifton Ellison. Please send him some coin. Please give him a follow. We are still in a pandemic for, what, 2 more days? And we've been bringing you content this whole time. And Clifton's been here this whole time. So support. And while we're at it, support Stab Comedy Theater. Information above my pretty little head. Debatable if it's a pretty little head, but not debatable that Stab Comedy Theater has been here for you 7 days a week, bringing you content multiple times a day that you can go back and watch. You can watch it live. Varied content, fun content, great content, and all of the month of June, partnering with the LGBT Center of Sacramento to bring you some good quality queer content on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesdays. So that's where we are right now. And with that, we're going to get to my next contributor. Love her, adore her, love her energy, need to siphon some off for myself. She was here at brunch today, so we're going to hear some thoughts maybe. I'm not sure what we're going to talk about. She's coming at us from her car. Love her. Don't get a ticket because I know what that's like. Chelsea Bearce.
Hello.
Hello, mamas. How are you?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay. Yeah, I'm still driving home from brunch. Like, I'm still doing it.
Well, thank you for being here.
It was a very long drive. I'm not even home yet, so.
Is it worth it?
Yeah, I saw Apple Adam, so yeah, it was definitely worth it.
Well, and you saw Taryn too.
I mean, yeah, exactly. I saw Apple. It was worth it.
Yeah.
Yes, brunch was fun today. I thought brunch was fun. You and Helen did 2 duets. Now, coming from the stand-up comedy musical theater world that I am a part of, I looked at it very differently, and I was like, I wonder how a doubleheader duet drag performance is gonna go, okay? Because I've seen a lot of lip syncs for your life, okay? I've seen a lot of wigs snatched off. I remember when that bitch got picked up during the, like, Mimi I'm First went a little too crazy.
Oh, yeah.
So I've seen some crazy doubles, okay?
India Farah, by the way. That was the bitch that got picked up.
What?
Oh, I was naming the queen that Mimi picked up.
Oh, yes. Yes.
No, continue on.
So I didn't know how it was gonna go. Okay. And actually for stand-up comedy, I do like a 2 for the money kind of thing with my friend Miles Weber, where we're both on stage doing stand-up at the same time, and we do a lot of crowd work, right? Mm-hmm. And we make it work. So when I saw how well it worked, I was very proud of both of you. It was great.
Thank you.
And I think that there should be more duets. Oh.
Thank you. Oh, Chelsea is frozen. Oh, she's back. Hey, Chelsea. Oh, she's muted. It's a weird whack-a-mole game. Technology. Whee!
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah?
There you are.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm dedicated to this show, bitch. Okay.
I know, I love you.
So I was very pleased with how well it worked, and it was orchestrated well. They were good concepts. And I really feel like now I want to see more duets in the drag world, because it really opens up the door to what can be done during a number. It really opens it up. It doesn't put it all on one person, and it creates more possibilities. So I think you guys did a phenomenal job today.
Thank you. I will say that it was a lot of fun, and I thought we, especially in the show that you were at, we really kind of nailed the second duet. I mean, we nailed them both, but the second one had this whole element of like dance battle. And Clifton's still here, so just for him and everyone watching, there was a dance battle element to it where it was like, well, all right, fine, you're in my number, what are you going to do? And then she did a move, and then I had to do the move, and then she did a move, and then I had to do the move. And like that made it kind of competition-like, but also like friendly.
It was. Yeah, it felt kind of reality show-ish, because it was kind of a call and response, you know, like, and it felt like almost like a fun sibling rivalry, you know? And so it was a really good element, and it was fun for the audience to watch, you know, and everything. So I feel like you guys really took that concept and you ran with it, and it was orchestrated very well. It was great.
Well,
so.
I definitely am excited and hopeful that more of that happens. I know sometimes, though, it depends on just like anything, you know, especially like if you were to bump mics with any other comic that wasn't Miles, you'd hope that you had good chemistry with them and they were a good performer, because obviously all that's needed. So I was grateful that Helen wanted to do it with me, because it was fun to do.
Yeah.
And she's, of course, very good. So.
Yeah. It was great. And, you know, it actually was kind of a perfect button for my weekend. Because I'm just real fast. I have to get off very quickly. I have a script reading in 20 minutes. But this weekend, I was doing a weekend of shows at the Sacramento Punchline. Okay, and I was hosting for this national headliner named Chris Porter. He finished third in Last Comic Standing. He has 3 specials out on Amazon Prime. He's a phenomenal comedian, and I was so excited to work with him because I was excited to learn from him, and it really it made me excited, because I never want to stop learning, you know, even if I mean, I've been doing stand-up for 13 years now, and I was excited to watch someone new, because I knew that he was going to teach me things to strengthen my craft, you know, and I was really excited about that. And I think that as a performer, the second you think that you know it all, you're done. You're done. So you're constantly learning, constantly growing, constantly evolving. And once you lose that, it's over.
Absolutely.
So I was excited that I could learn from him. And in conjunction with that, going to Drag Brunch to kind of finish my weekend in Sacramento and seeing the two of you working together on a number and learning how to, like coexist, I guess, during a drag performance was great. And it just kind of put the cherry on top of the whole weekend, you know?
I don't actually know what to say back, because you're not usually this effusive with praise when I'm involved. So it, thank God for Helen and Apple's presence, and thank you for liking the whole thing.
Yeah, I thought it was a very smart move, and I like that you guys were able to work together. I don't like when it's like a dog-eat-dog situation, especially in the arts and any sort of performance thing. I don't like that. So anytime they work together to build something else, create something new, to work together as a team, I think it's great, because it's limitless,
Absolutely. I mean, that's a semi-frequent theme on the show. Is of course Jesse runs Stab, and he loves collaborating with other artists and other people who have visions. And so I think just what I've learned through drag and stand-up comedy is like together we can create more. You know, the old adage, our sum is greater than our parts, and it felt very true today.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was an eye-opening weekend for me on multiple levels, and it was exciting to work with someone who I look up to, and it was great. It was a great weekend. So
well, and I want
before riding that high for a while.
Before you go, I want to say congratulations on hosting such an amazing weekend at Punchline. You added a whole extra show because Chris Porter is not only hilarious and super professional and amazing, but he has a phenomenal following. So there was a 4:30 show added on Saturday, and you got to host it all, which is so cool. And
it was a really great weekend. He does have a good following, and it was exciting because his fans liked my comedy, so I thought that the show was booked very smart in that regard. Mm-hmm. It was taxing. Yesterday, 4:30, 7:30, 9:45, all, hour and a half to 2 hour shows, and it was a lot.
Yeah.
It was a lot. But, that's what you do. You grin and bear it, you down an energy drink, and then you get up there and you do your thing.
I just said that today. You don't pick when the gigs are, you pick if you do the gigs. So if you want the gigs, you take them when they come.
Right.
And also, if I can just say, what a cool, and I told you this earlier, but I'm going to tell the audience, what a cool thing, because I, of course, look up to you and admire you, and then I have people I know that also look up to you and admire you and would love to learn from you, and here you are loving to learn from Chris Porter, and there's someone out there that Chris Porter wants to learn and glean knowledge from. So none of us are too big, nor should we be too big, to turn back and say, yeah, let me tell you what I can to help you. Like, here's where I fell down. And if I can help you a little bit from falling down, because that's that in conjunction with everything you're saying, which is of course why you're saying it, because you're smarter than me. We all work together,
Right.
So, thank you for being here for me and other people who look up to you, and thank you to Chris Porter for being there for you.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It was great. And I you can always learn from someone you look up to, exactly, and there's going to be someone who is just getting started, and you got to keep that humility. Remember where you started. You weren't always this good, okay? Like, yes, you can always get better, but, be humble. Remember where you fucking came from, and just help somebody else too, because you remember how it feels,
I'll say it for you. It's easy to remember when you're still there, when you're me.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Well, look, I had to say it. This has been a very nice segment, so we just had to say one. I had to get in one.
I am very nice today. That's true. I only had one drink at brunch, so maybe this is what sober Chelsea is like. I'm not sure.
You know what? I'm gonna bring you more drinks when I see you, because I think that was it.
Well, go. You have an amazing interview guest.
I do.
Justin's one of my favorite people on the planet. So go have a wonderful interview. I love you with all my heart.
I can't wait. Hey, I actually suck, and I didn't write him a beautiful introduction. Would you like to give a beautiful introduction?
For Justin Elizabeth Sayre?
Yeah, I mean, I can do it, but if he's one of your favorite people, I mean, let's work together.
Justin is one of my favorite people, and I will give them an introduction. You got it. You guys coming to the stage right now is one of my favorite people, an amazing playwright, an amazing comedian. He was, they were one of the original panelists on Who Wrote This Shit. Thank you so much. Let's throw that in there. And fashion icon. Put your hands together for Justin Elizabeth Sayre.
Thank you, Chelsea.
Of course.
Justin Elizabeth Sayre, welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you. What a wonderful introduction. Thank you so much, Chelsea. Thank you, darling. Be careful driving, my goodness.
And I am clumsy because now I'm like, wait, I didn't outro Chelsea. So now after she introed you, I guess I'll step all over that and be like, once again, Bees and Booze, Chelsea Bearce, follow her, support her, see her live when she performs. And thank you so much for being here, Chelsea.
Absolutely.
So, Justin Elizabeth Sayre, it's okay if I call you Lizbeth?
Yes.
Okay, then I will do that because, sometimes my mouth is too full. So, Lizbeth, thank you for being here. I am so excited.
I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. Happy Pride.
Happy Pride to you, too. I first saw you, somebody shared the new hanky code with me. And then I caught you on the Who Wrote This Shit Live, and I just fell in love with your viewpoints and your passion for them.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you. It's not often that you see somebody who is willing to so eloquently explain their viewpoints and take the time to do so, but also doesn't mind looking at someone and saying, straight boy.
No, I don't. I don't. I take a queer superiority to a whole new level.
Well, you know what? If we didn't do that and I didn't support that on this show, then I wouldn't be Suzette Veneti. So
there you go.
You carry that queer superiority all through this show. I mean, like I already said in the show, this is for Pride Month. You know, we're doing it up. So queer superiority it is. What have you been up to during the pandemic? Or if you'd like, I can say, what haven't you been up to during the pandemic?
Oh, sure. The pandemic was taxing, as everybody knows, and it was really a crazy time because I just signed a contract with Joe's Pub, where I perform quite a bit in New York City, for a whole year, and we were going to start doing shows every month for a whole year, and very quickly it was maybe we'll be back in March, maybe we'll be back in and then finally the whole contract was canceled, and I won't be back until 2022 now. So that was a big change, and I also write on television, and a lot of productions were shut down. It was a whole ordeal, really, as I'm sure so many live performers knew. So I ended up working with a small group of actors, with people like Drew Droege and Sam Pancake, Tom Lenk, Danielle Gether from Mad TV, Edie Patterson from The Righteous Gemstones, a whole bunch of folks. And we would do these kind of camp plays every month for about 9 months. So I wrote a new play every month for 9 months, and was taxing, but it certainly kind of kept us involved and kept us, when I say us, I mean all of us, I mean this whole company of actors, kept us all creative and kept us all in touch. We were really happy to be making them, and they turned into a silly but fun little oeuvre of work that I now have that we're going to start doing live. So it's been really, it was a great way to spend a very trying time, and to be able to still connect with a lot of people I love in a great way. Absolutely.
2 things. One, I don't know if you heard earlier, but somebody said, I'm glad it didn't affect your business. No, absolutely. Yours, mine, all performers of any kind. But it's up to the performer, and I've said this the whole pandemic, to not say, oh no, all my chances are gone. It's up to us to say, how do I adapt, and how do I keep doing not what I've done, and not what I would do if the world wasn't like this. Sorry, my allergies are going crazy today. But how do I keep being me? And what do I do to adapt to this world? And you certainly did that with a play a month. That's my second thing. I'm a bit of a theater nerd. How long are these plays that you're writing? One every month.
Yeah, probably they were all came in at about an hour and a half, 90 minutes.
That's 90 pages.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah, at least.
That's a drama. If you're writing any comedy, that could be 130.
Oh yeah.
Easily.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So they were all really they were full length. They all, it was a lot of work, but it was also just a lot of fun, and everybody got dressed up in costumes, and it was really just a joy to do. And we did 9 of them. We're doing we just signed a contract to do I wrote a sequel to John Waters' Female Trouble called Hot Flash. And we're doing that here in LA in August.
Okay. That's so cool. I love that you did that and it wasn't on your radar before, but then you just embraced it and went with it.
Absolutely.
And if there's time at the end of our interview, I'll tell you my really super lame theater joke that I don't think anybody ever gets, but I made it up during the pandemic. Or actually, it just happened in conversation. But this is not about me. This is about you.
No.
Oh, do you want to hear it?
Yes, please.
Okay. So I was talking about a normal theater. What most people would call a theater. We would call it a proscenium stage. And they were like, oh, you know what? We'll just we'll take out the things that drop down. And we'll just use the whole space kind of abstractly. And I was like, you want to turn the proscenium into a black box? So really not even a joke, just an observation. But I was like, nobody gets that.
You know what? I understood it.
Thank you. That's all I need is to be understood.
That's in these trying times, a little understanding is the best sometimes we can hope for.
That's the only thing I want. That's my camp, is just understand me. Now, you are an actor, a writer, a performer, an artist. Do you have a term to describe you more succinctly, or are you too fantastic and fabulous to be succinctly described?
When people ask me, I usually say I'm a writer.
Really?
Yeah.
Just a writer?
Just a writer.
Okay.
I've started saying, I'm just a writer. Oh, I'm just a writer. But that's also, I have a kind of aw shucks mentality to my whole career. When things have happened, and I've been very grateful that many things have happened. I kind of, oh yeah, okay, like even when people mention the 9 plays, they're like, oh, you wrote 9 plays. I'm like, well, yeah, I did, because I didn't have much to do, and we were sitting home. So I kind of default to that, but I that's how I would kind of. I think it comes from there. My performance is very kind of storytelling based, and I write everything I say. So I kind of default to just a writer.
Okay. Just a writer. Well, certainly one of the more entertaining just a writers that I've ever heard speak, because there are lots of writers that don't speak with such zhuzh. You, speaking of all the works you've done and how you have an aw shucks mentality about them, but there are quite a bit. I would say you have a prolific curriculum vitae. What would you say you're most proudest of? Sorry, I'm tired. Most proud of.
Most proud. I think, well, 2 things come to mind offhand. One is that we're actually doing it in 2 more weeks. We're doing Night of 1,000 Judies, which is a show I started about 9 years ago, that we do every June. And it is a celebration of all things Judy Garland, with a whole bunch of downtown performers and Broadway folks. This year, Alan Cumming and Maren Testa and Sam Harris, a whole bunch of wonderful singers are doing it. And that show raises money for homeless LGBT youth in New York through the LA Fournet Center. So I'm always very proud of that, because we started it when I had a show in New York called The Meeting, which was a comedy variety and a queer comedy variety show that ended up being the longest running queer comedy variety show in New York, which is very specific, but I'm very proud of that.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. And the show was all about community. You know, it was all about, like, even the thought of it, the title of it was, you know, it was kind of based on that joke when somebody said, you meet some new straight person and they say, oh, my brother's gay, do you know him? And, you know, the response would be, no, but I'll see him at the meeting. So the show was The Meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And even in that first year when we were just getting started and we're not making a whole lot of money, I had the vision, or I had the idea that if the show's about community, the show can't just be about me at the end. It has to be about bringing people together and then doing something for that community. So right from the beginning, we started this Night of 1,000 Judies and raising money for homeless LGBTQ youth, because I felt like it was also a question of what charity. There's so many queer charities. There's so many people doing good things for the queer community. But I was really passionate about young people and you know, young queer kids, young LGBTQ kids experience homelessness at a 40% higher rate than their straight contemporaries. And, you know, those are kids that are often marginalized. Those are kids that we don't talk about a lot. Those are, you know, so much of the quote unquote queer or gay agenda is taken over by very wealthy, white, cis gay people.
Privileged at that too.
Absolutely. And I didn't want to kind of host a dinner party for kind of buttoned up, very wealthy, gay, white, cis people. I wanted to put money and put support behind young people, people of color who were definitely part of my community and needed my help. So that's something that I'm very, very proud of. And then I think the other thing that I would probably be proudest of, I don't know. That's hard to say. I mean, I like so many projects that I get to work on, and I'm very thankful for them. But I'd probably say we did a show out in LA right before the pandemic last fall, called Ravenswood Manor, which was kind of a serialized theatrical experience where we would do a new play every week for 6 weeks. And it was a small company of actors with a lot of the people that I ended up working with over the pandemic, Drew Droege, Sam Pancake, and a whole host of others. But we did a new play every week for 6 weeks, and it was a great success. We got a rave in the LA Times, and it was kind of a moment of, at least for me as an artist, it's one of those moments where you go, oh, it clicks. This I get it. I get what this is. I know how to do this, and everything kind of seems right to do it. And that was that show for me. I really enjoyed it. I was in it. I wrote all the episodes. I ended up selling it to Sony Television. We're working on making it a television show now. So it's very exciting, and it's still my favorite thing I think I've ever done. But I would be very proud of that.
And I read about that, but for the audience, in case they aren't familiar with it, what's the what's the story about the Ravenswood Manor?
So Ravenswood Manor is kind of, for those of you who remember, we're all too young. There was a show in the 60s and 70s called Dark Shadows, which was a kind of comic, which is a soap opera, a horror soap opera. And I thought that would be a fun idea to play with. What would a horror soap opera look like if you did it for laughs rather than intention? Those wonderful campy moments that we're not supposed to laugh at but are there. So in Ravenswood Manor, we come to the small town of Ravensport, Maine, where Bettina Dawes, who's a very famous movie star, returns home after mysterious circumstances make her retire from Hollywood. There's a young girl named Paisley Bennett who's been adopted 9 times and returned each and every time as a child.
And that's camp.
And there's a werewolf killing local homosexuals. And that's where we start out. Where we end up, you'll just have to tune in on television to see.
Very cool. And they did sort of make a remake that was a bit campier, I think starring Johnny Depp, but I like yours better.
Yes,
I think.
yes.
Yeah.
The Tim Burton version. Yeah.
What, out of everything you've created, which you create quite a bit, what's the most surprising to you?
The most surprising to me. Well, I would probably, I was very fortunate to be asked to write 3 YA novels for Penguin Books a number of years ago. And that was very surprising. I never thought about writing a book. I certainly never thought about writing a book for children because I didn't really read children's books as a child. I read a lot of, I read whatever was in the house, and luckily in my house, you had like Lana Turner, An Intimate Story, and a diet book by Elizabeth Taylor. Those were the things I read and did book reports on. So I didn't really know about it, but it was just a funny story how it happened. I was a dear friend of mine who ended up becoming my editor was writing the gay version of Mad Libs. They were doing a Pride edition for Mad Libs.
Okay.
And he asked if I would. They were having a kickoff party, and he said, "Would you come and do a Mad Lib live on stage because you'll be very funny and will help us. People will see that these are fun." So I said, "Of course, I'll go," and I went, and I was funny on stage, and
just a writer.
His editor was there from Penguin and approached me and said, "Have you ever thought about writing a young adult novel?" And I said, "I have not. I don't even talk to those people. What would I say to them?" And they called me in for a meeting, and I wrote up a quick chapter, and we signed to a 3-book deal immediately, which was shocking and something I never really thought I would do, or I just never thought it would be in the cards. And the books were all very well received, and I've been to a few schools and talked to kids about them, and I've had some very nice compliments. But it was a surprising moment, and I think one that I never, in the trajectory of what the things I was going to do, was something I never really expected.
I feel cool because that was actually my transition question. For whatever you said, I wasn't sure if it would be that. Was that I am most surprised by that, but then by the young adult novels that you wrote. But then at the same time, the more I thought about it, the more it kind of makes sense, given everything that you're, at least what I know, what you're passionate about, and what you think is important. It makes a lot of sense that you would create books that would kind of fill a void where representation might not be, and you created that for young readers.
That's very sweet to say. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think it comes out of, I've talked about it a lot, but I continue to say it. I moved to New York in 1999, and that was really like the tail end of the AIDS crisis. People were on the cocktail. People were now surviving this terrible plague that had hit so many for so long. But when I was there was a sizable void in the community. There were, not a lot of 40-year-olds. not a lot of not a lot of older people. There were a lot of young people who were growing up in the shadow of this thing that was a threat. You know, your sexuality was not only seen as, however controversial it may have been, but so many of people my age, the first thing they were told when they said they were gay was, don't get AIDS and die. And it was real, and it left such a huge mark on so many people of I think my generation and probably a little younger than me, that when it came to making art that was queer in nature, that came from me, it always was about community building. It always was about intergenerational conversations. It was always about bringing people together, because I grew up and didn't feel like I had anybody. All my mentors were dead. And now, as things are changing, as thank goodness they are, I see that many of my mentors were not in fact dead. I just didn't know who they were. And I also hope to be that for younger artists who are starting out. That was another part of the meeting that was so fun, was always getting to find younger queer people who are making really cool stuff. And I would say, oh, come and do this, come and play. And it keeps, not only does it keep me informed about what's going on and keeps me relevant, which I appreciate, but it also kind of keeps me tuned in, and I, even if I disagree with what's going on, or it's not for me, I can say like, oh, okay, I get it. All right.
Well, and I think that's, I don't know if you heard me talking to Chelsea at the tail end of our check-in, but it's such a cool thing when someone, certainly at your, if I can use the word status, takes the time and presence of mind to turn back and say, hey, hello, hi, I see you.
Yeah.
So thank you on behalf of anyone that, needs representation and is looking towards you for it, because you could certainly be standoffish, but you're not.
Oh, sure. But that's I'll tell you a really interesting story. I've always seen being queer, being gay, whatever terminology, it's a great eye opener, because I grew up as a little white kid from the suburbs. I could have been handed the keys to the castle in America, certainly. But I saw immediately that I was different, and that difference was eventually going to come out, whether I liked it or not. And that difference was going to mean that I would be treated a different way solely because of that. It was not going to happen. My character was not going to be brought in. Nothing was going to happen. I was going to be judged on this thing that I could not change about myself. And that, rather than making me really angry about it, it made me really kind of go, that happens to so many other people all the time. And what you can do now is have not only compassion, but a sliver of an understanding of how the world exists for so many other people. And that's a great gift, because a lot of people don't get that kind of empathy lesson. And it's been something that I've tried to do in a lot of my work, where, when people talk about Black Lives Matter, or people talk about women's reproductive health, I see those as queer issues, because there are queer people of color, many queer people of color. There are queer people with vaginas, many queer people with vaginas, many queer people that need Planned Parenthood, many queer people that have immigration problems and immigration status problems. I see those all covered under the umbrella of queer issues. And it's been a great privilege, and part of the work that I've tried to do is saying, like, oh no, those aren't separate. Marriage is not the end of the gay rights issue. You know, we got it, right. We still have so much more work to do. And that work has to be intersectional with other work that is going on. So one specific example, I had my show in New York. There was a Black Lives Matter show, an evening of performers that were raising money for the movement in New York. The venue that they were working at decided to cancel the event after they'd already sold tickets to it. And because Black Lives Matter supported a free Palestine. So I called the folks who were organizing, who I luckily knew, and I said, listen, I have a show already sold out downtown. You want the show and you want the money? Take it. Come down. I'll introduce you all, just so my audience knows what's going on. And you can have the whole night. And they were skittish because it was just like, wait a minute, what's going to happen? And I said, listen, it's no strings attached. As soon as we get the check, we'll hand it over to you guys. I feel like this is what we're supposed to do. And they came down, and it was this magical night. It was really, really magical. And there was a lot of healing that went on, and a lot of heart work that went on, and a show that I think a lot of people thought they were just going to come and laugh, but they actually came and saw something that was different and saw something that they needed to see. And it's that kind of work that really inspires me, that says, oh no, we can push the bounds of what this is supposed to be. We can talk about all the things we need to talk about. And we create a safe space, and a space that is inviting for that kind of discussion, rather than, oh, this is just how we do it.
Now, that's in all the things you do. And again, I'm a theater nerd, so I understand what experimental theater is. But what you just mentioned, I would not classify as experimental theater, but you do a lot of experimental theater. And this certainly is, at least spiritually, to me, what you just described, more experimental theater, where somebody's coming for one thing and then they get another thing that maybe means more to them. Sure. Do you enjoy experimental theater, and could you, in your own words, define it for the audience or describe?
Yeah, I mean, I do enjoy experimental theater. I enjoy experimenting. I enjoy shifting the narrative, certainly. I'm also within that, and I'm sure you know as a theater nerd yourself, I'm a great traditionalist. I like to go see things that I've seen 1,000 times. I think I've seen 20 productions of King Lear just because I love it. But I think how I see my experimentation, and I can kind of only speak for myself, is a lot of my work lives in a vein that came out of people like Charles Ludlam and Jackie Curtis, Ethel Eichelberger, Charles Bush, where it was gay and camp and had a sensibility of height rather than kind of like a kitchen sink drama, you know? Mm-hmm. And within that, I think what you get to do, and what I really like to do about it, is that when you turn, you know, I get a lot of questions sometimes about what is camp. And what I will say is, at least from my definition of it, is when you turn that dial all the way up to 11 and the music of it starts to fracture. And in the fractures, you start to see just how silly it is. You're playing it so high, you see the endless comedic possibility comes through. And what happens in those fractures of sound, what happens in that height, is that people are paying attention, because they pay attention so closely to comedy, that within that moment you can spin in, oh, and this is really a comment on you. This is really a direct correlation to the silliness that is going on all around you. So, you know, like when when I go back and watch something like Female Trouble or even Polyester, which is just 40 years old now, and I can't believe it. You know, I see the commentary that's there, that it's not just, oh, this is in a movie in Odorama. You know, I see that you're dealing, especially with John Waters, who is a great mentor of mine, that you're dealing with a keen eye towards the society it's talking about. And I think that's what you can do when you kind of experiment with this style. And that's what I'm certainly hoping to do.
Well, I look forward to seeing some of it on TV and hopefully catching some of it live one day. You do a lot of projects. We've talked about that. And every interview because you know, if I've never met the person, which certainly we briefly chatted on Instagram, but this is the first time we've ever gotten to speak. So I try to look at all the other interviews and see what boring questions did they ask you, and what would be, you know, silly to just re-ask. One, I learned that you don't like the word niche.
I don't like, no.
Which is funny because I actually embrace my niche-ness. So it's I don't know if that's a person-to-person thing or a you know, a regional, but I'm like, no, give me my niche. But that's not my question. My question is, every interview I read almost describes you as jumping from project to project, never taking a breath or slowing down. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And do you mean to do that? Is it cognizant, intentional, or is that just how you operate?
It's hard to say. I mean, it's hard to say. I think some of it is just how I operate now. I always have 10 things going, you know. And some of it is just ingrained panic. You know, it's always, oh my God, you know, I feel very lucky in the fact that I enjoy my work as much as I do, that I like doing it. So it's not a trial to do it. But, you know, I will say after 9 plays, I took a month off because I was really pooped, you know. But no, I like working. And I think it harkens a little bit to something that Chelsea said, you know, where you really like learning. I like that I get better. I like that I keep making something and making something new. And something that I haven't done before. And yeah, I do like it. I wish I had more. I wish I had less panic about it. I know a lot of people who kind of work on the same script for 2 years and they're like, oh my God, I just, you know, just so labor intensive. I'm like, come on, you know. I wish I had a little bit more of a relaxed way about me, but I don't know that I do.
Perhaps in the panic, it you know, beauty comes from it. Certainly, they say comedy comes from tragedy, and if you didn't have this innate sort of panic, maybe you wouldn't produce so much content.
Yeah.
So
I would imagine that to be true. Yeah, if I didn't.
Would you like to get a little serious, or would you like to keep it light?
Oh, go
Okay.
for it.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So I saw a post on the Facebook page for the meeting. There was a post from November where you eloquently rejected some notions of what make up gay culture versus gay custom.
Yes.
What can the gay community together do to create a healthier base and stop reinforcing unhealthy tropes and create healthier customs?
Well, I think we have to kind of practice what we preach a little bit. There's a lot of preaching right now, at least in media and gay outlets, that we've kind of all fallen under the spell of love is love and these wonderful little slogans. But how that exists in gay culture and how that exists in on the ground gay interactions is very different. Very, very different. And I think that some of it I've noticed. I identify as non-binary, but it does not mean that I kind of take myself out of my history. Certainly, I think there's a lot of toxic masculinity that goes on in gay culture. It's always existed. I think there's a lot of racism that exists in gay culture. A lot of racism that exists in gay culture. A lot of ageism, a lot of misogyny. And some of it gets boiled down to kind of aphorisms and quick, not to, or some of it gets boiled down to like making jokes about it. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
sure.
I feel very not fortunate, but I don't work in a drag bar. So I haven't really been at a place in a long time where a crowd of, bachelorettes come in and ruin a night for everybody. I've seen the videos; they're highly entertaining.
Uh-huh.
But what I would often question, and what I question for myself a little bit about even moments like that, which I know that have been destructive and have been really hard for a lot of people to take on. I always ask, like, what kind of world are we living in that women only feel free in this place? That's my biggest question. Why do these women only feel entitled to do these crazy things here? Well, that's because everywhere else they're under attack. So maybe there's a little more compassion that we could deal with. Doesn't mean a girl doesn't need to be told to sit down and not shit on the stage. I mean, I've seen all the videos, but it simply means that we can deal with it a little bit better. And that's the thing that I think we as queer people need to start doing. We don't need to necessarily be queer separatists, but we have to realize that we've all been educated in a system that is not working for us and has never worked for us, has never valued the relationships that we have, whether it be close gay friends who feel like family, whether it be even marriage status people who are married or in multiple relationships or polyamorous. The system that we're operating under right now has never valued who we are, never, and may never. So we have two choices. We can either say to the system, all right, your rules don't apply, or we can operate from a place where we kind of pay attention to them, but we kind of don't. And I think that's in the situation we're in right now a little bit. There's a real push, and I think it's coming from a lot of younger people, which I enjoy seeing, where they're like, oh, I'm polyamorous and I'm pansexual and I can be whatever I want. Absolutely. I agree. If you want every kind of flag you need to do that, I'm here to support you. What I think is the danger is you're not doing the work that it takes to really remove all the things you've learned, having not lived in a society where that's ever been valued. So what you have are a lot of people with the right words and the right jargon who've not done the right work. Anti-racism work is real, has to be concentrated on, has to be thought about. Anti-ageism work has to be real, and even kind of body work has to be real. You know, when we look at so many people with different types of bodies in gay spaces and how they get treated based on that. And I think the other thing too that I would say is, and this is the thing that kind of affects me the most, not affects me the most, but saddens me the most, is I hear a lot of young people talking like it's 1974, in the sense that they're very calculating about relationships and what relationships can do, but they're not thoughtful about love in the same way. And what that brings up for me is, you know, when I was coming out, or you know, who knows, I've been gay my whole life, so it could have been, pick a point. But one of the first things I ever heard about gay people was somebody making the comment that it was a lonely life. That it was a lonely, lonely life. That you would never really find happiness, and you would never really kind of have someone in the heteronormative paradigm. You would never find somebody where you would have a partner and live out. I don't know that that's the answer for everybody, certainly. And I would never say that that has to be the answer for everybody. But what I would say is that I wish that we could start as a community kind of valuing a little bit more of the heart space that we need to do the nurturing work that we need with each other. That, you know, you don't see a 22-year-old just passed around a bar from week to week. You actually see somebody take him aside and say, hey, what's going on with you? What are your thoughts and ideas? And even if they don't have a lot of thoughts and ideas at the time, because I remember me at 22, I wasn't, you know, the sharpest tool in the shed, but being able to kind of have conversations and interactions with young people that are supportive rather than exploitive. And that works both ways. That works both ways. That young people feel like they're valued, and they're valued more for more than just being high and tight, you know, and that we make space for them, that we're not competing in the paradigm of the young are the enemy of the old, that we've done for too long, and we've just ruined ourselves with, I think. So that's how I would do it.
That is a certainly a blueprint. If anyone's watching, you know, I think that's a great place to start, and look towards that sort of work, which we all need to do internally, externally, and together as well. Another thing you said in that post that kind of struck me was, it's an act of rebellion just to be yourself.
Yes.
That statement speaks for itself. It doesn't need elaboration or, you know, any sort of other commentary. But that being said, would you like to elaborate or comment on that statement?
Yeah, I mean, what I would say is that, you know, I think it's kind of actions always speak louder than words. And I think that, especially right now, and I'm sure you're seeing it during Pride, everybody's so happy, everyone's gay, everyone's thrilled. You know, the rainbows are marching out. My bank wishes me a happy Pride. I'd love more money. That'd be great. Why don't you put some Pride money in my bank account? But what they actually do is different. And I think that when I think about, you know, being yourself as an act of rebellion, it is something that I feel very fortunate that I get to live in a space where I am myself. But that, you know, for me, being myself means being a thoughtful person and not taking anything that is handed to me as the truth. I question it all. Down to even the basic, going into a store and there's a sign that says women's clothes, and I say, well, these are clothes. Just even that basic premise, I can reject that. And it's not about doing it for rejection, it's doing it so that everything I'm here on this earth to do is an expression of the energy that I had. And what I find, and what I've always found, is that people did that for me. Justin Vivian Bond and Kenny Melman and John Cameron Mitchell and John Kelly and so many amazing people that I met in New York all did that for me. And I found that I have luckily been in the position to do it for other people, where people say, "Oh, you're so yourself. You don't care." And I think, well, no, I don't care. I don't care what other people think. Merely in the sense that, their rules are not mine. Why would I allow someone to tell me what I couldn't do, who I don't even know? My mother barely gets a word in edgewise, and I know her quite well. So, it's just kind of a streak of independence and a thing for myself that shows me that I'm continually thoughtful, that I ask questions about things rather than just kind of take a blanket, anything. And I think that's rebellious, especially now where everything is subscribed to you. You talk about candles on your phone, and 2 days later you have 25 ads for 30 different candles that you all need to buy tomorrow. So, everything is kind of curated to reinforce what you are and what you like. And I think that it is, especially now, it's an act of rebellion to say, oh no, I'm just going to do what I want to do and not adhere to making that picture perfect for anybody or Instagram ready for anybody. I'm just going to do my thing.
Again, a phenomenal answer. I'm just going to move on and not discolor it with my thoughts. What is, all that being said, what is gay culture to you?
Oh gosh, the dreaded question.
Oh no, I asked a...
Oh no, you'd be surprised how often I get asked.
No, that's what I try not to ask the retreads.
No, it's all right. It's all right. What I think gay culture is, I think gay culture is about transformation. I think it's always been about transformation. And it is not, when in recent times there's been a kind of debate, or almost somewhat of a schism in the queer umbrella, where I feel like a lot of trans people don't feel included in gay culture.
Mm-hmm.
And I absolutely understand where those trans voices are coming from, because gay culture, as we talked about, has been a monolith of what's going on with white cis gay men for 50 years. But I think inherently the culture as a whole, when you look at it past those kind of guys, is about transformation, is about inventing oneself, is about taking the tools and taking some of the beauty that you're handed and making it into something more fabulous. When I think of prime examples of gay culture, I think of people like James Bidgood, who was a photographer in the 1950s and was a window dresser at I think Bergdorf Goodman, and made these beautiful sets in his apartment and hired gay hustlers to act in these silent movies. That his most famous became Pink Narcissus. That's the height of gay culture to me, because here's someone who is taking what they know, what their craft is in the world, and using their life, using their point of view, using that otherness to create more beauty. That's gay culture to me in a heartbeat. And I think that's, it's why certain movies kind of pop up and become gay culture, because we transform them as viewers. We see them and we understand that something else is going on here. Something else is to be interpreted here. I think gay culture also exists where we project on people a certain kind of, a certain spirit that we want to inhabit, a certain toughness that we want to inhabit. Certainly when you look at people like Grace Jones or Cher or all of them. I think it's going to be different now because we're growing up in a place where, we get pandered to a lot, as we're all seeing every month. But I think inherently what makes queer culture is that we take these things, we take from the world, and we reinterpret, we rejigger, we recreate, and we create something that is totally our own. And I think that's when I look at the through line of what gay culture has been, that's always been the thing. That's always been the thing. And I think it's, to the question the answer we talked about later or previously, I think that's the thing that we're kind of missing now. How do we take all this stuff that the straight world or whatever is giving us and turn it into something that works, something that's more positive, that can work for us? How do we do that? And I think we're figuring it out. I don't know that we have an answer yet, but that's how I kind of define gay culture. It's your friend finding like a broken statuette on the street and turning it into a centerpiece for Thanksgiving. That's gay culture.
In a nutshell, yeah, that could be a T-shirt. Would I certainly adore you, if that's not clear to anyone watching, and I could talk to you about things forever. Can I imagine that everyone from 40 Fort, Pennsylvania is the same?
No. No. Even the accent's different. No one's the same. I think I was very fortunate in some ways to be from a small town. And I was very fortunate to pick up on some good lessons, but I moved to New York when I was 17, and see you later. So.
Do you go back often?
Pardon me?
Do you go back often?
No. My mother and father about 10 years ago moved to North Carolina, so when I see them, I go down there, but I haven't been back to 40 Fort, God knows how long.
Well, I think you found a home in New York and certainly one in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And I'm imagining more community. In another video that was on the meeting, on the Facebook group for the meeting, you said that Abuz Moosh is your drag name. Yes. And according to, the definition of amuse bouche is, I guess that would make you as a drag performer. First of all, have you performed in drag?
Yeah, I mean, I played Bettina Dors, so I have performed in drag.
Okay, yeah. So if you were to do it again as Abuz Moosh, would that be that you would just serve yourself unordered from the audience, and you would just give a bite size and leave the audience wanting more?
One would hope, but if you've ever been to one of my shows, they run long. She's got a lot to say.
Same. This show can go really long, and the other day I had my first live show where I combined stand-up and drag at a comedy club, and after the show they were like, "So that was 2.5 hours," and I said, "Oh my God, I made people sit for that long. I'm not an Avenger. I don't think I can do that." And they were like, "No, nobody noticed." And I was like, "Oh, good. Let's not plan on that."
Absolutely.
You love Drag Race.
I do love Drag Race. Still I love Drag.
Still. What's your favorite season?
Oh, my favorite well, I will always be beholden to All-Star Season 2.
Okay.
Best ever. But I think my favorite season, I like very much the season with Bob. So is that 5 or 6?
That would be, I believe, 6.
6, yeah. I like the season with Bob. I also liked the season with Bianca Del Rio.
That's definitely 6. So Bob might have been 7.
Might have been 7, yeah. So I think like around there. I know I watched it from the very beginning. You know, just kind of just absolutely in it. And I like it now. You know, there's been enough of the winners that you've disagreed with, so you're like, oh, well, it doesn't work out in my favor every time. But it's still, it's still, and I think why I keep going back to it is that it's the only chance I have to see effeminate gay people on television be taken seriously. And that those two things are not in opposition. And I go back to it because even in the kind of high drama and the arguments and the whatever, it is still enjoyable for me to see a group of gay people on television kind of talking together. It's still enjoyable.
So you like maybe the lounge or maybe even Untucked where they're just showing
absolutely
just the sort of offstage kiki.
Yes.
And just so we don't get added by people, Bob was on season 8.
Okay.
And Bianca was season 6.
Okay.
Do you have a favorite Drag Race queen?
Oh God. Well, I've always there are many.
Sure.
There are many. I have to say, oh God, I really love Ben de la Creme. I really love Ben de la Creme and think they're so smart and professional and great. I have a long-standing love affair for Shangela. I really like Bob and Bianca, obviously. I think Detox is an underrated gem. You know, I had a huge crush on Aquaria, but that's never going to happen. And it would just be so strange. But I do. I think she's just stunning. And then even this season, who did I like this season? Oh, God. I liked Utica very much because I thought she was just weird. And, you know, I tend to like the weird ones, or I tend to like, you know, just somebody a little outside the box because I think that's where my sensibility for drag. I like somebody that's just weird, you know.
Quirky,
like
a little quirky.
Yeah, a little quirky. I like a little quirky.
Yeah, I agree. My favorite drag queen is definitely quirky. She self-bills as the diva of dumb shit.
Oh wow! Who is that?
That's actually Apple Adams. That you.
Oh yes!
Yeah.
Oh wow! She's very funny. I like her.
Oh no! Yeah, I mean my favorite. So, and I have other favorites. I don't think you know any other Sacramento queens. You know Apple from Who Wrote This. Taryn Through You is here as well, and then I have others that I love, and they're all a bit quirky.
Yeah.
Yaya, Liz, Bijou. These are all. That's what I am drawn to is quirk. You said also in a post that I'm gonna actually not quote you. I'm gonna ask you a question. If someone were to go on Drag Race,
yes,
a queen, king, or in between, although it's Drag Race, so it's probably a queen,
yeah.
And they got guidance from Michelle Visage, what would they do with that critique?
I think the dangerous thing about Michelle and this is from someone who I really love Michelle Visage, but Michelle is inconsistent. I think that's fair to say. She'll tell you she doesn't like your gray wig one week, then she likes it the next week. You know, like she gets something in her craw and then she forgets about it. You know? So I think what you have to do with her is, A, don't give her any room to critique you on the makeup of your outfit. Like, make sure all your hems are straight, make sure there's no undergarments showing. Really, because that's like, it's blood in the water. She's gonna get you for that. But I think the thing to remember about what Michelle's trying to do, even though I don't know that she always does it, is she's trying to say, like, show me more of who this is. And you have to figure out what the balance of that looks like. You know? Because I think she means well. I don't think she's a mean-spirited person. I would never say that. But I think that sometimes, like, I listen and I'd be like, what is she talking about? You know? Like, I sit there with her often and go, Michelle. And, you know, even people on the panel are like, I disagree with Michelle. I think what she's trying to do is say, let's open the toolbox. But what I think you have to remember is it's your toolbox. It's your toolbox. You know who you are. The things that I think Michelle, when she does poorly, which is rare, but I think when she does poorly is that she confuses people about who they are. And it's so that the intensity of it is so high that she's saying, oh, we want to see something new. We want to see something new. There's lots of things you can do new that are still you. And that would be my advice.
That's great advice, and that's just on point with all of her critiques. So you said that don't let your undergarment show.
Yes.
Now it is my, not, I don't want to say style, and I get blamed a lot for hiding behind what I consider my style, but it is of my opinion that showing some undergarment with the right look is not just acceptable, but well placed and strategic.
Absolutely.
So now, certainly, that doesn't mean with, like, if I hosted in Sacramento, we have, you know, a chapter of the Imperial Court system, and I hosted their Mr. and Mrs. Gay pageant. Was I showing undergarment while I was hosting a court pageant? No. Will I show undergarments at brunch when I'm performing Kesha? Absolutely.
Sure.
So I think there's a time and a place, and I think you're absolutely right. And thank you for your advice. Not that I'll ever be on Drag Race myself, but
Don't
for anyone,
say it. You might.
I don't know if they want me ever. I'm way outside of the box. But were I to be on, I would definitely follow your advice of don't lose myself. Stick to who I am and who I want to be, and don't change that. Just find another way to, almost what I said about, you know, with the pandemic. Find a way to be yourself and do you in a different set of, in a different rubric.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what she's asking. It's just sometimes it's confusing with everything else that's going on.
On behalf, go ahead, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was just going to say, on behalf of everybody that watches Drag Race and Drag Race fans, would you serve as a Michelle Visage interpreter?
I would.
Okay.
I would. Because I really do love her. I think she's great. I think she exists in a great way on the show. I think sometimes she's a little too harsh, you know, whatever. Okay. But I think she's there for a reason. I really do. And I think sometimes I think she doesn't connect what she's saying to what she actually wants.
No, I support that. I nominate you, and I don't know if I have a vote, but I vote for it. The only other thing that I wanted to say is, before I get to rapid fire, if you have time for it.
Sure.
like I mentioned at the start, I was introduced to you first by the new hanky code, and some Americans are wearing, have been wearing bandanas instead of masks. They've been wearing bandanas as masks, and so I certainly got some good chuckles from that, both learning the original hanky code and then applying the new hanky code. So thank you for that. There's no question. Just thank you. It provided a little amusement for me.
I'm glad.
So, Lizbeth, rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
I am.
Okay. I don't know if you. As just a writer, I've never had just a writer on. But when you perform as a writer, do you have walk-up music?
Yes.
If you were performing tonight live, what would your walk-up music be?
It's usually Hot Magazine by a group out of the 70s called Buena Vista, which were 3 gay guys in San Francisco, or it's Beautiful Girls from Follies.
What is your favorite recurring show to perform in?
My favorite recurring show to perform in? I would say The Meeting because it's mine.
Are you still doing it?
Yes, I'll be back in 2022 with a whole new season.
So that's at Joe's Bar?
That'll be at Joe's Pub, yeah.
Or Joe's Pub, sorry. Okay, something to look forward to. And some of these questions I often ask them of drag performers and comedians, but I feel like these apply for you. What is the funniest thing an audience member has ever said to you after a show?
Funniest thing an audience member has ever said to me? Oh, shit. I think one night a woman came to a show and said that her son, she thought I should date her son.
That is a take on the that's almost, and was that after the meeting?
Yeah.
Well, that's extremely appropriate because that's often how that works. Is like, oh, do you know my son is also gay? Maybe you know him. Maybe you should date.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know how much your son's gonna be into that, but go right ahead.
Did she show a picture? Was it like awkward or?
He did, and he seemed like a very nice young man.
Oh, okay, so it wasn't just like an abstract. You should date my son.
He said, "This is who you should date my son." Here he is.
Was she a Jewish mother or an Italian mother?
I didn't get the whole 23andMe, but she seemed very nice.
It sounds like cultures I'm familiar with.
Sure.
Who is your favorite LGBTQ activist?
Oh God, my favorite LGBTQ activist. Oh God, I really like Sarah Schulman, who's a writer and an activist. I really like Peter Staley, who's a writer and an activist. Robert Kronquist is a good friend of mine. I think Candace Cain is an amazing artist and activist. There's so many. Justin Vivian Bond. I mean, there's so many people. Kate Bornstein. I mean, oh my God, mother of us all. So there's a lot of. I feel very fortunate that I know a lot of people who are many of my favorites.
This is sometimes a funny answer I get from this next question. Sometimes I get a serious answer. It's very interesting to have on my show and to ask you, the chairman of the meeting, this question. Yeah. What's your favorite item on the gay agenda?
Oh, my favorite item on the gay agenda. I think, well, I like the gay agenda, as it's been often told to me, is that we like cause natural disasters and like bring about plague. That always strikes me very funny because I'm always like, I caused a hurricane. Me at home watching old episodes of Dynasty caused Katrina. How did that happen? You know, like I wasn't even doing anything gay that day. You know. Or anything punishably gay, you know.
There are lots of shoulder pads in Dynasty, so
sure, exactly.
debatable.
enjoying some Alexis Carrington. I didn't know that I had the power to change the winds and kill people.
I can only wish an earthquake would hit in my bedroom. That's all. I would love that. It's been a lonely pandemic. Which do you think, I'm excited to ask you this one, which do you think the COVID-19 pandemic has affected more, the gay dating scene or the straight dating scene?
Oh, I think the gay dating scene.
Really?
Yeah. Because I think a lot of us, it's been what I've experienced. A lot of people either coupled up real quick and was like, I got to lock down something for the duration. Or now a lot of people are being very hesitant about I love the memes I see about going to Tops houses the Tops houses are always disasters and there's a mattress on the bed and I think that's so funny. But I think a lot of people are like, oh, am I gonna get an Uber all the way to Silver Lake for mediocre anything? I think it's changed a little because in the old days you'd be like, there's nothing on television, I'll go. Now you got to think, I got to get a mask on, I got to do this. No, I think it's changed.
Okay, that's a fascinating answer. Next question: do you have a favorite sexual position to imagine straight people having sex in?
Oh, straight people having sex in. See, I always think of doggy as a very straight thing.
Okay.
For some reason, I don't know why. But yeah, I think of them as yeah.
Okay.
I think of straight people having. Whenever I think of straight people having sex, which is rare.
It's doggy.
It's doggy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite position?
Do I have a favorite position? I think yeah, I guess I do. I like to be ridden because I like to see faces. I want to know how the audience is doing. I want to know that everybody's having a good time. Yeah.
You are a performer, and not just a writer. If you
like some positive reinforcement.
That's definitely a performer sort of quirk. Because I am the same. I'm like, when I'm doing stand up, I'm like, turn the house lights up. I want to see I want to see the faces. I don't care if it stifles laughter because they're scared. That's my job to make them laugh. Turn the house lights up. Thank you. I lost my place. I'm sorry. Do you have a favorite thing about the existence of brunch?
The existence of brunch. I like that you can get anything. That the rules of the tyranny of breakfast is thrown off. You could get a set. It's just a free for all. I like that.
I do appreciate a European breakfast and think that we have it.
Sure.
It's just phenomenally backwards here in the States.
Yeah.
Do you cook or bake?
I do cook. Yes.
DC or Marvel?
Oh. Neither.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I might have been surprised had you had a very strong answer for one.
No, I don't.
I do, but that's me, and not everyone's me.
That's true.
And that's, I think, what makes us beautiful is we all have different personalities and tastes. If we are at the bar after a show together, and someone comes up to buy us shots, what are we shooting?
Oh, I don't drink, so I'll have a Diet Coke.
Okay, I will. If they'll get me a regular Coke, I'll join you.
There you go.
If someone's buying us drinks, I'm assuming the same Diet Coke.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I don't drink anymore.
No, that's whatever they're buying. Whatever you want is what they're buying. So if you want to do shots of cranberry juice and Diet Coke drinks,
there you go.
That's
a seltzer with lime will do me great.
Oh, I love a good tonic water with lime. I don't need anything else. I will have something else in it, but I don't need anything else in it.
There you go.
This one is not Marvel or DC. This one I need an answer. There's a correct one also. Toilet paper, over or under?
Over.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I can keep adoring you.
I'm glad.
And I will say this is the 60th, I think, episode of my show, maybe 60 something. I have found I'm not mad at the unders as much as I am mad at the people that are apathetic to the direction.
Yeah.
Like you can't be toilet paper verse in my book.
No.
Do you have a favorite writer?
Yeah, I have a lot of them. Yeah. Tennessee, I mean, I have a little, so over my doorway, I have Tennessee Williams, James Baldwin, and Garcia Lorca. So I'll just say those because they're all over my house.
I enjoy Tennessee Williams myself. Do you have a favorite comedian?
A favorite comedian?
Mm-hmm. You can say no.
No, I do. There's a lot of people I like. I really love Margaret Cho still. I think she's very funny. I like a lot of British folks. James A. Caster, I think, is brilliant. God, who else? Cola Scola is a good friend, and I love them. And John Early, I think, is great. And Kate Berlant. There's a whole bunch of folks. There's a lot of people I love.
And I asked you your favorite drag race queen, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's your favorite queen. Do you have a favorite drag queen in general?
I'm gonna go a little old school and say, well, not a little old school, but Lady Bunny.
Oh,
I've endlessly enjoyed Lady Bunny.
That's a great choice. I don't know if anyone's ever said her on my show. Do you have a favorite drag king?
A favorite drag king? There's a performer, a drag king in. Murray Hill. Hill. Yeah,
I was going to say I've been trying to get to Murray Hill, and have him on. This one is purely self-interest question. Do you have a favorite drag princess?
You dear, how's that?
I will take it. Thank you.
All right.
That you know what? That's gonna be in my bio.
There you go.
And then this is actually an honor to ask you this. You're the last person I'm going to ask this to. The final question of Rapid Fire has always been, what do you look forward to most once all of this is over, being the pandemic? What's the thing you're most excited to do? And here in California, of course, we sort of open up in 2 days? So you are the final person that is getting this question. What are you most excited to do on Wednesday?
And I don't know if it'll happen Wednesday.
Okay.
I'm hopeful, but I'm most excited to be in front of an audience again. That's the thing I'm most excited about. Yeah.
That's a beautiful answer.
The most.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Oh, no, thank you so much for having me. This was great fun.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure, and I'm so grateful. Where can people find, should they want to find you next? Where can they?
Oh, okay. I'm on Twitter as Justin Liz Sayre, Sayre, and Instagram as Justin Elizabeth Sayre.
Mm-hmm.
The show Night of 1,000 Judies is on June 24th.
Okay.
And it'll be all online because they're not opening theaters yet in New York. And I have a new play that we're taking to the Edinburgh Fringe in 2022 called Lottie Platchett Took a Hatchet with Drew Droege and Tom Link, and that'll be on La Mama's website, lamama.org,
and
on the 17th.
Your Instagram handle and Venmo are below you right now on the feed.
Wonderful.
So if anyone I guess they could go to Instagram and you'll have posts directing people to.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Lizbeth, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for being here. I hope to meet you one day in person.
Absolutely. It'll be great fun.
It would
Great
be.
fun. I'll
And
come to brunch.
you are more than welcome, and I will have a Diet Coke waiting.
All right. Thanks, darling.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, Peers and Queers, that was Justin Elizabeth Sayre. Please follow and support more for you than anything. Amazing work going on, and you'll appreciate it. It feels awkward to go from Justin Elizabeth Sayre to the person that we always close the show out with, but that is what we do, and sometimes we don't have him on. So here today, he also does a lot, but he's not as good at it. David Shapiro. Hi, David. How are you?
How are you?
Okay,
Good.
thank you. Yeah.
I wanted to review a couple of well, I don't know if I want to say films. A couple of things that I've watched on Disney Plus lately.
Okay.
If that's okay with you.
It is.
First, Loki, the new Marvel TV series, limited edition TV series. That's come out. It's great, as was WandaVision, as was Falcon and Winter Soldier. But Loki is intriguing, and I can't help but wonder if maybe not being rushed by the pandemic. So I definitely was left wanting more after the first episode of WandaVision, but I didn't feel like I got enough. Now, it was a 9-episode show, and it was supposed to be 6 originally, so maybe I could have gotten more if they hadn't cut up that, first 1 or 3 episodes, right? Okay. Falcon and Winter Soldier obviously underwent heavy edits. There was a rumored pandemic plot that Disney apparently, allegedly, felt like they couldn't keep when the real pandemic happened. And there is some really weird reaction shots if you watch the series back. So I get it. But Loki, that first episode felt like so much, and you still want more. So bravo, can't wait for episode 2. Tuesday nights at midnight for me are going to be more exciting than normal. But also I wanted to talk about Raya and the Last Dragon.
Okay.
Props, Disney. This is a great Disney princess. She's flawed. She's flawed in a way that I can appreciate and respect. She's stubborn, and she's thick-headed, and I relate to that so hard. And, she's sad, and she only has one parent. True Disney fashion. She only has one parent to begin with. But she doesn't lose her other one. She doesn't get Bambied right away. Her dad is turned to stone, but the whole movie is about her trying to get her dad back. So that's cool. Awkwafina does a stellar job voicing Sisu, the dragon.
Oh, David, are you there? Did we lose you?
How are you? Good. I was saying Awkwafina did a great job voicing Sisu.
Yes.
And then when I saw when the toys came out, the Happy Meal toys and all that, I saw that it had a really big supporting cast, all these other heroes helping her along the way. That turned out to be Boone, and I can't remember the big guy's name from Spine, and then the baby and the Tonkies, and it was this is a lot of side characters, but it works so well. The show has so much emotion. There's a moment when they're going downriver, and Sisu, I think what they do well is they show you the culture of this imaginary land, which I'm sure is steeped in real Asian cultures. But there's the moment where they're going down a river, and Sisu touches her forehead and puts some flowers in the water for every member of her family that she's lost. And then Boone does it for every member of the family that he's lost. And oh, I got hit in the emotions when Boone did it. And then Raya comes along and does it. And some of it was anachronistic, I feel like. Raya calling, I forgot the warring princess's name, voiced by Gemma Chan, Princess Undercut. That was kind of funny. But like, what a dope princess. Like, I just really like the princess. For me, though, the star of the movie truly was Tuk Tuk. I dug Tuk Tuk and would love to ride whatever Tuk Tuk is. I would like to have a companion like that, because I have a pug and I can't ride him anywhere.
No, you can't. Not a pug.
But I don't know. It was just such a cool movie. It was, you had a magical blue creature. That's the first magical blue creature I've liked since Genie in Aladdin. And such a neat story. And then the lesson is to try, like, Disney's on a roll here with Frozen, where the sisters didn't have to find love in men, but love in each other. That was the true love. And then this movie, they're all gonna die from these, I don't want to say soul-sucking creatures, but these life-sucking creatures, and they have to trust each other, and that's the way out. That's cool. I like that. I like these, like, fantastic message movies that Disney's producing lately, where, like, Aladdin, probably my favorite. It's just about beating Jafar. He's just evil, and they just have to beat him. Still a great movie. Still my favorite, right?
Sure. It's no Little Mermaid.
This one had no songs. I just realized that. This is a Disney movie. Is it? I mean, she's a princess.
Yes, it is a Disney movie.
They made a Disney princess movie with no songs.
Yes.
That's cool. My mind's
impressed.
blown on that, actually. And I think now I need to look that up. So I'm going to say this is it. This is the end. Thanks for bearing with me, Suzette. Have you seen Raya and the Last Dragon?
I have. I enjoyed it also.
Good.
Thanks for your
Other
approval.
than that, you take care, and congratulations on your show last night.
Oh, at Stab.
There at Stab. Maybe if you do shows at Stab, I can come and be in a show?
No.
Okay, well, I had to ask. Anyhow, take care, Suze, and I'll see you soon. Bye.
Goodbye. David Shapiro, everyone. You can follow him if you want to. I wouldn't. And he was talking about the Dr. Buddy Love Show Under the Stars. Any plans for the next live event, Jesse?
Yeah, we're going to be doing more Under the Stars Saturdays at 8. There might be a conflict next week, so we'll see. Maybe we'll start later. I don't know. We got to figure some stuff out. But yeah, in person, we're going to be doing Saturdays at 8 for a bit. We'll see what the world looks like in the next couple weeks.
Okay, cool. Well, if you're around Sacramento, come check out Stab in person, not just streaming. I got to meet Milk last night, which was cool. I had not met Milk in person. So come to Stab, meet people that you see on the stream. Other than that, that's it. That's the show today. Thank you so much to Clifton. Thank you to Chelsea. Thank you, of course, to Justin Elizabeth Sayre. I guess David Shapiro as well. Also Jesse Jones and Stab Comedy Theater for being here and letting us do this. We had a lot of fun tonight. I hope you did too. And we'll be back next week, 5:03, on the 20th. See you then.
The city's your playground. I watch you take a bite. At 5 a.m. roaming the streets, drunk all night. You hot shit, and ooh, I love it. I love it. Yeah, yeah. Stumbling, but yeah, you're still looking hella fun. Keep doing what you're doing, I'ma make you mine. Hot mess, and I'm falling for you. And I'm like, hot damn, let me make you my boo. 'Cause you can once had a love and it was a gash. Soon turned out had a heart of glass. Seemed like the real thing, only to find mucho mistrust, love's gone.